Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by the Topoco Lodge. As life gets back to normal, you and your church group or your business or your family might be looking for a unique all-in-one event space for a meeting, a conference, a reunion, whatever you're looking for. You can do it at the Topoco Lodge. They have an all-in-one setting where you've got the food there with the Topoco Tavern. They do just tremendous work, and you've got all the places to stay in this terrific environment. Check out Topoco.com to learn more. It's a tremendous place, the Topoco Lodge. Okay, quick segment, and I'm just going to get out of the way here. For years, people have wanted players to make money, okay, and that's great. I'm sure you guys would have liked to have had your money when you were playing. But now that it's here in terms of making money off your name, likeness, image type thing, there are some nightmare scenarios involved. Will, I'm going to let you start here because we've been talking about this for 2 or 3 months now. Part of the issue is who's going to be coaching these kids on how to use money.
Yeah, I mean that's the big huge thing because it's not only just you're going to have the people out there. You have the government that wants their amount of money, so taking care of taxes and hopefully guys are not running into that issue when they come up on a season. You also have the thing is as soon as you get drafted in the NFL, the woods become alive with people with their hands out advising you on what you ought to do with your money. And I could just imagine that whole group now, the NFL has some regulations in place. Guys are certified by the NFL. You still see a lot of people come in and take people and steal money from people all the time. But right now I haven't seen any schools or any league or anybody address this, make any motions of what they're going to do, how they're going to prepare people. I mean, so I don't see the proactive nature that's being happened. I see all these laws coming into place, but NCAA, SEC, schools, I don't see the likewise of, hey, we need to speed our pace up of what we're going to do. And that means there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to be even stronger of bad people around your players and pulling them in different directions.
Yeah, there's this idea that this will stop cheating. It's not going to stop cheating. Now it's like cheaters would give you X before. Well, now everybody can make X. So the cheaters will say, well, we'll give you Y and Z. So that's not going anywhere. And you're going to have, now you're almost opening the door to more nefarious people trying to grab your money. Go ahead.
Not only to mention that, some people, if you talk to a lot of guys in the NFL, who's the biggest problem is their family. Right? Yeah. That's who's coming after their money all the time, and they're having to push them off. Yeah. Now, if you have money in college, you've got a whole other people, some people are going to be asking for it, and so you're going to have another little stress when you get the money.
What about the possibility of, we're talking in between segments here, lineman, quarterback, what about the possibility of team chemistry issues? Do you see that being a...
I think, that was just my initial thought was the team chemistry, I'm a role player. I take a beating every day. Kind of the same situation. The guys I love, all the guys I played with, but I was laying my body out for my guys to make sacks, my ends and whatnot. Is that guy making triple what I'm making? Is that going to ever? It wouldn't affect me. I know that for a fact, but is that going to affect some players? Yeah. Is that happening? And then you also, my initial thought was, I dealt with a lot of kids I came from a semi-poor family, and so I think it's good. I know kids that didn't have money to wash their clothes or eat, go out and do stuff like that. And I coached 1 year college football and saw kids that didn't have anything. They came with a couple sets of clothes. And so I think that's very positive in some ways. But again, then you run into all the issues here that Will's talking about. Are the parents moving with them because they're getting that kind of money? Yeah. Then you deal with,
in theory, I don't think anybody would argue with the fact that players deserve something for their likeness. Yes. Will, you brought up the fact that when you were here, we won't name the institution, but your name was basically photoshopped off a jersey and your image was used on someone's year-long schedule, and you didn't get a piece of that. Whereas today, if they wanted to do that, you would get a piece of that.
Not only that, they found a guy that looked like me, grew his goatee like me, and put a number 90 jersey and a helmet on, and everybody come up to me, hey, this is a good picture of you. Can you sign it? I'm like, yeah, it's not me.
Well, in theory, it's great that you're going to get something, but it's spinning off in so many different directions. There are so many issues that people aren't prepared for, I'm afraid. Where do you come down on this? The idea is good, but are you worried about the implementation of it?
Well, the idea is actually awesome. I just remember guys, they didn't feed us on Sundays where, you had to get $2 to one of your linemen or defensive ends to keep them happy because they're your friends because they couldn't eat. And everybody has different situations. But now you got a situation with likeness where that one player who's featured inside that game or inside that team, may sell more jerseys or have more things with his likeness on it sold by the university, and that information becoming public. That's where the issue comes. So I'm with Will and JJ. They've got to get more systems in place for these laws coming down to help the athletes, to prepare them for this, I think, a victory of getting paid. But if you don't have young people prepared for money coming in their hand, it's just more problems that comes to the game of college athletics.
Yeah, it's there are coaches that are already sweating this. Dan Mullen's been very vocal about the fact that this and the topic in our next segment are just going to turn college football and college sports on their head. And I don't doubt that 10 years, you think about all the changes we've seen in the last 20 years.
Wow.
Okay, just now there's a playoff. They said for years that would never happen. Well, you've got it. There are overtimes, okay? There were years you didn't have that, didn't have replay. You've got Oklahoma, Nebraska no longer play. You got 14-team conference. All these changes. I don't know that any of it's going to stack up to and add up to what we're looking at over the next 10 years with the money to the players, because we don't know how that's going to be. We don't know how that's going to spin in any direction. And then the transfers. Let's talk about the transfers next. If these guys had had an open transfer portal and a free get-out-of-jail-free card back when they played, would they have finished at Tennessee? We'll discuss that. Come on back on the Sports Source.